Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford.
And today we are talking about As Above, So Below, the 2014 found footage film that takes place in the Paris catacombs. Actually has made me obsessed with the Paris catacombs. I'm just like dying for Buffy to go down there. But you have not seen this movie, so we've been kind of, our friendship has kind of been on a found footage kick lately. I feel like we've gone back and forth on a couple of those. And so we did Grave Encounters for you. We did As Above, So Below for me.
And then we watched that movie that felt like found footage. It wasn't, but it really was shot
but it felt like found footage. Yeah. So this one, though.
Malone was that movie.
What did you think about this one?
I think you'll be very happy to know, Zachary.
I kind of already
No, I think... Wait, I think I'm going to throw you for curveball. This might be my new favorite found footage horror movie.
Favorite? What the fuck? Now, this shit is crazy.
Aha! I knew I would throw you for
This shit is crazy. Because we watched it, and we weren't, like, intending to record for it or anything like that. Yeah. I think we had like, a night of recordings lined up, and we were like, let's just watch a movie instead.
Yeah.
And felt really nice, felt really organic, kind of just chilled out, watched the movie, and I knew you liked it, but you were kind of like, oh, yeah, that was nice. You didn't really, like, rave about it.
I mean, I felt like, found footage movies, I do feel like you and I actually kind of feel the same way. It's just, I enjoy that feeling more, and you don't enjoy that feeling, but we feel the same way, if that makes sense.
Well, like, you would understand why I like this one so much, right? Like, it has a really good story behind it, and it's not just like there to set up scares. It feels like a movie with a purpose, and that's why I really like it, and it's a well executed purpose, which is very much like why I like the Last Exorcist, and why I think you like that one as well.
But you did like Grave Encounters. I mean, it wasn't your favorite, but you liked it.
I liked it because the scares paid off, right? Like, if the scares had not paid off, I would not have liked that movie, because the story was just like, okay, whatever.
But you even said you liked that it imitated.
It was the ghost. I liked getting the references, But we're talking about As Above, So Below today. We're not talking about Grave Encounters. This one, I remember when it came out. I remember going to the theater. I went on a date with my boyfriend.
I remember I wanted to see this.
Yeah, and I really fucking liked it. And this might be my favorite found footage one. It has to be. I revisit this one like I revisit Ready or Not. Like, I don't know why I don't own this on home media already. I should, honestly.
I mean, like, I don't know. I think this might be tied with Grave Encounters for favorite found footage, but, like, I don't know. I thought that the story was well executed. The thing, honestly, that I liked most about it was that they didn't all die. Because every found footage movie, they all die. Like, not that I'm that upset when it happens, because, I love a found footage. But
it gets pretty grim. I mean, some of them are trapped in hell.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like, the whole movie when we were watching it, right? I was like, man, they're all going to die, and I don't want them all to die. Like, I feel like they've, like, been through enough.
Every time you would say that, too, I would get, like, so excited. I'm going to be like, he is going to, like, love that they, just, like, 3 of them end up on the street, right? Especially the main 2. Who kind of have this, like, little relationship going.
I especially love that random third guy who, like, didn't have many lines.
He was like the side character to the side character. Yeah, he was part of the side character's little clique, and he gets to survive.
Like, I feel like of that side clique, like, you remembered the hot French guy who gets pulled in the car and the girl who gets her fucking face bashed in.
Yes.
But, like, they die, and this is the guy that I would not remember other than.
So I think that one is Zed.
Yes,
because I don't have the names memorized. I love this movie and I watch it a lot, but I don't have them memorized. So that guy's name is Zed. Yeah.
So
just some random guy who makes it.
I don't know why, but that, like, really works for me because it's not. Because that's not, like, the norm, right? If there's a side character that is, like, in it, they are going to die, right? Like, if it's a horror movie, like, there's not usually, we get our 2 main, like, our final girl and final boy, and, like.
And especially putting so many characters in there, right? Like, that just spells, well, we're going to get a bunch of cool death scenes, like a bunch of cool, like, kills.
And we did, but, like, I don't know why
but,
that,
like, the purpose of people dying in this was because, like, it felt like there was a purpose for them dying, right? Like, because they were messing around with something that they shouldn't have been. They were going deeper into this, like, into hell, and they shouldn't have been, so they were getting, like, caught one by one in hell.
Well, and the other thing I like about it, and I know this is like this isn't reinventing the wheel, but I love
Hmm.
the kind of storytelling where it's like there are little things that like if you notice they're cool because they like are a through line, but if you don't, that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like the woman when I was like, wait a minute, that's the same lady, Zach, and you were like, I didn't remember her being in this. Like, and
Hmm.
I noticed that the woman walking out of the club was the same woman doing the rituals, the same woman who walked behind the cameraman.
Hmm.
Um, I like little shit like that where like, it's not like it matters if you notice that or not. And when I was reading about the movie, the person in the burning car who pulls Papillon inside it is the person who recommends to the main character that she go find him.
Mm. Okay.
Like the guy that's like sitting with a book and
Yeah.
tells her go find him, he'll know. That's it, which I think is like his brother or his
Hmm.
friend that died in a car. I don't know. That feels very like David Lynch, Joss Whedon, whatever, like having the story,
Mm.
like you thought about it. You gave like a little bit more thought than you need to for a found footage horror movie, especially. Like you and I weren't annoyed that that guy was no one who recommended it to her, but like knowing that it was someone is kind of cooler, right?
It is. It does make it cooler. I don't know. I just love like everything about this. I love the poster. The poster's really cool. You've seen the poster, right? The red poster with the upside down Eiffel
Yeah.
Tower. I think that shit's so cool. This was directed and written by John Eric Dowdle. I think he wrote it with. I'm guessing that's his brother, Drew Dowdle. But this guy, so he has done a couple of found footage. So he's like got experience with that. He did Quarantine, and he did the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Poughkeepsie Tapes is always a movie I wanted to see.
The Poughkeepsie tapes I have always heard was not as scary as like when you see clips of it in like lists and stuff like that.
It does look very scary.
Yeah, so I'll have to check that one out. Devil about the elevator. Yeah, he did a Devil about that little elevator. I haven't seen that one.
I thought that was M. Night Shyamalan. Or did he like direct it? That guy
I
wrote it.
guess the story was by M. Night
Okay.
and produced by, but he did it, I guess. And
That movie's not
then
that good.
there is, I don't know what else she is in. The main girl, Perdita Rose Weeks.
Yeah.
She is.
Good
What
name.
else is she in? She's in Spice World. What? Um, I'm not seeing a
I
bunch of like big stuff that she's in.
I do wish um if we're going for a Lara Croft vibe, I do
Mm.
wish she was like
I could have seen it, but I could also see them like doing other adventures and maybe her like building her skill, right? Like
right.
bring her back because they were good like cast characters.
And like I would watch a series of movies like this. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like give
She was
me
really charming and really endearing, and usually I hate a character who is like willing to put everybody else's lives at risk just to get like her little piece of information. And it does annoy me
I'd
sometimes
say it
where
annoys
she's
me a
like,
little
it
bit.
annoys me when she's like, we're not after the riches, we don't care about the riches,
Yeah.
and then the other guy's like, no, we want a little like 50% of the riches, like. I liked her a lot, but I really, really liked George, who's played by Ben Feldman, and we've seen him in a couple things.
He's from Mad Men, right?
Yeah, he's in the Friday the 13th remake. He's at the beginning. And
I
he's really
so
hot.
I
He gets naked, and he's in Cloverfield. You brought that one up.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I was reading that like the guy who wrote this movie also was from Mad Men. That's how we got Ben Feldman because they're
Oh
like they
shit.
became friends
Hmm.
working on Mad Men together. Of course I can't find the one. I have a bunch of reviews. So the weird thing is I was looking up reviews about this movie and like it was not well reviewed
Oh, I
at
don't. I
all.
don't remember it being well reviewed at the time, and I don't remember it being like a big success. But apparently it was because it had a $5 million budget and made around like $41 million, right? So successful. Um, but
The the
yeah.
the first line of the New York Times review of it is the experience of watching As Above, So Below is much like observing a colonoscopy in the hands of a particularly inadept and excitable physician.
I think that is just a bunch of nonsense and somebody just typing words on a paper, right? Trying to sound smart. But you don't have to sound smart. You can say it was a good movie or it was a bad movie. It just was following the pattern of found footage, right? So like it was gonna get shit on anyway just for doing that because people were just not in the mood for found footage anymore. Very much, especially once we got to 2014, people were like, no fucking found footage. But I think that since this movie has come out, this has been a movie that has grown a life outside of its release, which is really, really great. Because we posted about this on Twitter today, and
Yeah.
people seem to have liked it. I don't think I saw any comments that were like, "No, I hate that movie."
The only thing was one person said they hated it when they watched it, but now they really like it upon rewatch.
Yeah. It's just good. It's like well crafted. That's the thing. Is like people took the time to make a good movie rather than throw together some sort of found footage like gimmick. We are the whole story centers around like this treasure hunt for the philosopher's stone, which we talked about this when we watched it. I'm like, I always thought that was a J.K. Rowling thing. It's like something she came up with. Did not know until my adult life that is a real thing. Nicholas Flamel was a real person.
Literally, the only reason I know that is from working at a bookstore because there's so many books with Nicholas Flamel in the title. And I remember like when I first started, when I was like 21, or 20, and I was like, what the fuck are there so many books about that guy from Harry Potter? And then I realized, oh no, that's not. She didn't
listen.
invent
In
that.
American schools, they are not teaching us about Nicholas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah,
I promise you, they are not.
Yeah.
They didn't even call it the Philosopher's Stone in America. They said the Sorcerer's Stone because they're too stupid
and fair.
And I might have been.
Yeah.
So I'm going through this movie like we're gonna find the the Sorcerer's Stone. Huh? That's what we're looking for. This is the Sorcerer's Stone.
Because I will say my like few critiques are like I'm still not completely sure what happened. Like like I have no idea how she was like, oh, I have to put it back. And now I'm the stone. I was like, I have no idea. How did we get
there? The movie expects you to be smarter. It doesn't expect you to just like they want you to think a little bit. And it's a movie that you can go and delve a little deeper in terms of the actual lore and what they pulled from history and mythology and all of that. It gives a deeper watching experience and something that you can carry on afterwards.
Go ahead. One of the reviews I said it was like Da Vinci Code as a horror movie, and I was like,
that's fun stuff, and it could like lend itself to something in the future. I almost like without the found footage stuff, I think the found footage worked for this, right? Because if they're on like a treasure hunting expedition, they would have cameras with them. But if they ever brought these characters back and put them in another like horror adventure situation, we don't even have to do found footage. We can just do like normal.
But I mean, it does make sense that they would have, if like she's doing an expedition to find, like that makes sense that they would have cameras.
It did make sense, so I didn't question it.
I just like there was a little bit too much with like plot leaps where I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Like with all the chaos, I didn't need like the chaos is happening, so I'm not paying attention to plot. Yeah. But it was just done so well, and like. You and I, we watched a movie on Saturday that neither of us particularly liked, but the scares worked, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think that's what always works for me in found footage. And I know it works on you. I know that it doesn't equal you liking it, but it does work on you. Where like the coming around a corner and like coming around the corner with the person where you don't see what's going to be there. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. And they didn't do it as much in this. Like, that's the thing is like, they didn't have to rely on scaring you every couple seconds. The scares were earned, I feel like, with this one. So the story is we've got this main girl and she's looking for the Philosopher's Stone, and so she recruits somebody that she knew that she'd gotten like locked up in a Turkish prison at one point. So they were like a little bit of a contentious relationship. Like she goes up to his bell tower. He's like in a bell tower with the first time.
Literally goes up to his bell tower. That sounds like a joke.
Like a fucking hunchback in Notre Dame.
It's a lot hotter.
And then they start recruiting somebody. They like go into like Paris nightclubs and they're like trying to find somebody who can take them through the catacombs.
Because one of the ghosts recommended she go find this person. That's the thing I like is like, where is she when that person is? She's like in the start of the catacombs, right? When that guy tells her to go find them.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that guy's just sitting there. And it is like, if you think about it, it is weird, right? There's just a guy sitting there with a book. Like, why would he be sitting in the dark with a book? And just was like, yeah, go find him. And like, she goes, and then we see that woman walking out of the club who like gives them weird eyes as she's walking by them. And like, it's like, there's a little bit of like, the Midsummer setup where it's like, ooh, we're just
painting this sort of like sinister, vibe throughout the entire thing, and we know something's coming and we're setting it all up. And we find these people who know, like this little group who knows the Paris catacombs, and so he takes them into like a secret entrance, and like the cops almost get them. And so like, we have these moments where things are telling us, turn around, go back, you maybe don't go forward.
which I did read that wasn't
Hmm.
supposed to, that like, because we never see him, right? We know they say
Yeah.
it's a cop, we just see him running. That like, so the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, which is the obvious thing, is that this is like Dante's Inferno. They're going
Hmm.
through the rings of hell in the catacombs. Um, and that I this I read after we watched it, so I don't know, I don't have that link, but I know I read that like I have a fucking MFA, but I could not tell you shit about shit. The like rings of hell, like there is a guardian outside who like will not let you in, and that's what the cop was, because it like he never stops them or asks them. He just like runs up to them, and that's supposed to
Hmm.
be what that is. Like,
Okay.
because they weren't going into hell when they went, when there was a cave in and they go back. They already went to hell when they went through that secret entrance, is what it was
Hmm.
supposed to be.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
It's every little like moment that they encounter like really creeps me out. So I'm somebody who very much does believe in hell, and so things like that scare me. Like going to hell scares me. Ending up in hell scares me. The moment where they
I mean,
come
it scares me.
into like that little cave area and they're reading, what's above it, which is supposed to be like above the
Abandon all
entrance to
hope,
hell,
ye
like
who
on the
enter.
gates
Yeah,
of
yeah.
hell. And then as she's about to start crawling, she's like, and they were made to crawl on their bellies into the gates of hell or whatever. And she's like quoting it, and that like sends chills down my spine. Like every single time I watch it, I always think that it's just so insane. And then that one part before that, when they are like, do you remember when they're having to crawl over all of those bones and go through like it's like a really narrow, like
And the
claustrophobic.
cameraman gets stuck.
Yeah, he gets stuck, and then when they do get out, they're back at where they started,
Yeah.
right? And like
And
it's just like you know,
so I do feel like the other thing I do like is like they're not really like, the only stupid decision here is her, right? Like she's
hmm
the one that's like, no, we got to keep, and they're like, no, that's bad. But like, if you're going in a circle and it's leading you to the same spot, there's nothing else to
it
do,
does
right?
make sense that like even though she's keeping them going, I guess it's not really her that because they can't go back anyway. They're
Right,
not
you
going to be
can't.
able to go back. There's no way. There's only one way that whatever entity is doing this, it wants them to go. Papillon, he doesn't even want to go that way because one of their friends went that way and never came out. Everybody who goes that way, none of them come out, and that alone is creepy. Like all of the like the setup, all of the lore, all of like the little stories that they tell without like flashbacks or anything. Like it's scary and
Yeah.
it makes it scary when they first go down into the catacombs and they see like that cult of people like singing hymns down there
I
or whatever the fuck they're singing.
I do feel like that would be sign number, like the like first and last sign,
If we're
right?
seeing red flags, listen, that's a red flag.
Like I just feel like this, because like it's not like they were just regular. They were like in their robes. They were like
Yes.
weirdly chanting. Like,
Yeah.
and Papillon's like a lot of weird people down here, and it's like I don't know that like
Yeah.
even if we're like under the presumption they're humans, I would still be like worried they were going to like
hmm
eat us.
Yeah, like, do you guys need sacrifices, or have you met quota for the month? Like, are we
Like,
safe down here right
are we
now?
good?
Are we good? Can we pass?
And then I love that once they go through that, then they do find his friend that he mentioned. I love that.
Yeah.
But wait, no, before that is a scene that I really like that I wish they'd done a little bit more with,
hmm
when Ben Feldman is like, "Oh, that piano. How'd they get a piano down here? I had
Oh
one just
yeah.
like it in my
There's
home. It had a
it's
broken
just like this
key."
is littered with creepy shit, right? There's a phone at one point. They find a phone that's ringing, and that makes no sense why the phone is there. Why is the piano down there? How would they get the piano down there?
Yeah.
And like in the Paris catacombs, so if you don't know, like it also kind of gives you a little bit of a history lesson, right? Or a little bit of a lesson on like
Because
architecture.
also
And
it's literally filmed in the Paris catacombs, and it's
yes, which
the
is
only movie to have done
very
that, which is
creepy.
so weird.
Is it the only one?
They said that like apparently the government was super strict about anyone filming down there, but then let them do it.
They didn't let them do it. They just ran down there and got stuck, and this was the camera
But I
crew.
wonder if it's because it's found footage. It was easier to be like, we won't be messing shit up. We're not like,
Yeah.
we will have cameras, but like nothing else, and like a few
hmm
lights. So I wonder if it's like because there wouldn't be a lot of equipment messing shit
Yeah.
up.
And they really like did take the time to give us a little bit of history on that too, like how uh, the catacombs at one point had collapsed. That's where they kept all their bodies, and the streets of Paris one time at one point collapsed, and they had to rebuild it. And so that leads us into, well, maybe there's a secret like section of the catacombs isn't on the map because
Which isn't that hard to believe, right? It
yeah,
really isn't. Like, I
it
mean, I
sets it
know
up
this is,
really really well.
yeah, like I know it's fiction, but it's not like, and with horror, you and I can make a leap anyway. Like, sure, yeah, there's a portal to
Yeah.
hell somewhere, but like, it's not that hard to believe that there would be a random tunnel.
And I think that's what makes it creepier is like when if I ever go to Paris, I absolutely would want to take a catacombs tour, right? With an elected official who does
I say,
that
are we
every
sneaking in
day.
through the hell
Every day they
entrance?
do that. I'm going through the main entrance. Because I've seen like Ghost Adventures and shit like that do the Paris catacombs and it's always really creepy. But I would go down there and I would do that and I could picture myself standing in there and like believing like a story could happen down there
Yeah.
like that, right? Like even as far fetched as finding the body of Nicholas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone, and it's like
You
sure, it's
you and I
all
on that
down
tour,
there.
like the guy from Harry Potter.
I'm like it's like it does feel like they're going down into like the Chamber of Secrets or some shit like that. Like
um, but like I also stupid question, very stupid question, but I feel like you'll know the answer.
yeah,
Is it the Omen that they go in the Paris catacombs?
I don't remember them going in the Paris
I
catacombs in
mean,
the
it's not
Omen.
really. I know there's one of those like older religious based horror movies where like they.
I tend to watch those one and done.
Okay.
And I'm too superstitious to watch those again. So while I love the Omen movies, I'm probably not watching them again.
Well, the dumbest thing that I can tell you about me is the reason I asked if it was the Omen is because in American Dad, my favorite show to watch stoned, they do a Omen parody as a Christmas episode where one of the or no, it's not even the Christmas episode. That's later. The second episode with the boy from the Omen, the daughter adopts a boy who ends up being like son of the devil, blah blah blah, and they just redo the Omen and
Mm-hmm.
they go down to the Paris catacombs and they get like flooded, and it's very silly and I love it
Oh,
because it's a
shit.
horror
Well,
parody.
I would watch them again for the podcast, but we have other movies until we can get to those, so we're okay.
I just like
Um,
when you're scared because I feel like I
I
just
don't
makes
like fucking with that stuff. I think that stuff can follow you and can transfer, and I fully believe
but
all
like
of
what
that.
specifically about that though?
I don't know. Like I think focusing too much on the devil, I think the devil
You like
can
Bloody
come
Mary?
out. Can come out. I remember somebody saying, because I love the documentary about the making of The Exorcist, and I remember somebody saying in that
It was
the
curse.
reason that they had so many problems on the movie was because they were trying to like the devil is a trickster and he doesn't want you to unmask him, and when you try to unmask the devil, he will take retribution out on you, and like that always like scared the shit out of me, and I always have remembered that, and so I like tiptoe around certain things, and the reason I like this so much is because while they do talk about hell and going into hell, we're not seeing like the devil or anything like that. We're seeing like Nicholas Flamel's old ass, down there and on this little thing, and
Well,
it's different.
I mean, I wasn't sure if the person in the rocking chair was supposed to be the devil or not,
You know
but
what? Not in my mind.
someone on Twitter said that it's supposed to be the Grim Reaper,
Oh yeah,
which I
I
can see
could see
that.
that. I remember sitting in the theater, and the only thing that like kind of made me groan a little bit, but then it was fun, was when she's like, "I have to go all the way back and put the stone back." And I
Yeah,
was
that's what
like,
I mentioned
I was
earlier.
like, "Don't
Yeah,
do it, don't do it. I don't want to see
because
that." But then she
also
goes really quick. It like
yes.
happens pretty quick.
So my other issue with that's like my one little critique. My other issue with that is like I mean, I'm glad it goes fast, but what you
Hmm.
just said, it's like that took them half the movie to do that. Like,
Yeah.
and it kept changing every time they went through a doorway. How'd she get back there
It's
so
because
fast?
because we have an hour and a half, Ian. That's
Yeah,
it. Okay,
because we
that's the
have
studio
15
gave
minutes
us an
left.
hour and a half, and we are running out of money, and we have hit our $5 million budget. Okay, so we're like jump from set to set. Okay, we will believe it.
Also, Zach, how do you think that worked with like, because like we know they did film in the catacombs.
I'm sure they had sets.
Okay.
I don't think like the entire thing was down there. I'm pretty sure they had sets.
Okay. So like maybe like
Yeah,
for part of it they were, but
I think
like,
because I'm assuming that the catacombs are like they could. There's no way they could film the entire movie down there.
right.
They're not like taking Nicholas Flamel props down to the Paris catacombs. Like there's some sets in there. I don't know. I like the whole reversal thing is cool. I really like the whole idea of you have to keep going down. Like
Yeah.
I thought that was just such a cool finale too. Like you keep going down, you keep going down, you keep going down, and then there's this like almost like a well that you get to is what it looks like a well cover. And so they start pushing on it, and then they like just the entire technical. I need to see the technical way they did it because then they like put the camera out and they're on the fucking streets of Paris, and you see them like kind of climb out, and it's
Just
super
so
trippy.
cool.
It's
It's
really
so cool
trippy.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but also I want to talk about their friend who they find.
Yes. That was
Because
really
like
creepy because he's dead, right?
because
So
he's
he's
dead,
like a
it's supposed to
demon.
be he's stuck in limbo.
Yeah.
Like he got there and died and was stuck because where's he gonna go? And so
Mhm.
like that's a part of Dante's Inferno too, where there's like a friend of his stuck in hell. This is what I
Yeah.
read. I could be wrong. That there's like I know I don't want someone to be like, you have a fucking MFA and you don't know this shit. I don't.
You're teaching me
Um
right now. Go ahead, teach.
and so like he finds like a friend of his that died stuck there and the friend can't leave. That's why that person can't go farther with them. That's why he
Hmm.
like stays there. Because remember, like when he beats the woman to death, he's just standing there, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just like
Well,
and
he's
because he can't leave limbo, and that's what ring of hell they're in, which also makes it because like we know they're going down. So it's like, okay, each
mhm.
level is a ring of hell. And like also that kind of tracks as to why he would have brought them some right. Like he's like,
Yeah.
well, this is where we can go. I can lead you to like to hell,
Yeah.
but I'm also gonna beat her to death.
And he just seems like this sort of shepherd that I don't know. It's like it's eerie how he comes in and how like out of it he is, and
Yes.
clearly this is not somebody that should be around us. Um,
And Papillon even says, like, I think at one point he says, like, I don't think this is him.
this
Like,
is like
this isn't how
something's
he
wrong with
is.
him. There's
Yeah.
something different. And then then that leads you to believe that every experience that they all had down there, they're doomed to the same fate, and they're going to be down there, and they're going to be like
Yeah.
wandering around the same in the same way. I hope that their friend never goes back down there to try to save them. At that
Yeah.
point, just leave them. It's fucking like kills me when they finally make it back to the surface, and he kind of just like looks at them and is like walks off by himself. It's like
He's like,
fuck you guys. Where's like
I,
40% of that fucking treasure?
but also when they get out of there, so does she have that power? Like forever?
Cause she still heal people.
Right? Or was that like only when you're in
Because
hell
we
kind
did
of
get a
thing?
little bit of that, right? Like so the stone, she like grinds it up onto people, and she can like heal them.
And that's how she held the woman who got her face bashed in. The
Mm,
first time she got hurt, but the second time she was dead, so there was no
yeah.
healing.
Um.
And I think a scene like that works really well for found footage too, right? Because like
Yeah.
it's like, gruesome. Of course, anyone getting their face bashed in is gruesome, but like it almost works more because it's so chaotic and the like cameras moving and like they're
Yeah.
like don't know what to do.
Hmm. I don't know. It's just like the entire journey. I think the whole movie is like such a journey, like a literal journey. And I think that's why it works so well is that we are with them. It feels like we are with them, experiencing all of the things that they're experiencing at the same time.
Well, and I think a reason it works for both of us so well is because we both love like we love a action
Hmm.
horror, right? And this is like action adventure, but also horror. Like
Yeah,
if you took the horror out of it, this would be kind of like The Mummy, right? Like with Brendan
it did
Fraser.
feel like that.
Like
Yeah, it felt very much like the Mummy, Tomb Raider, all of that sort of thing. And I do think that's why I liked it a lot. And then in the sequel, she can have learned how to fight now since that was 2014 and it's now 2023,
it,
10
it
years
really
later.
it really is wild that the movie did well and it wasn't that long ago and they haven't done anything because like and they have the character survive, so it's like
Yeah,
give us a
because you think
sequel.
about like I don't know, you think about sequels all the time, but I guess found footage maybe there's
Paranormal Activity has like 85.
yeah.
I thought I'd seen all of them and I keep finding out there's a different one that I haven't seen.
I don't know. It's a really great movie. I love all the characters. All the characters are really likable.
Very
The
thrilling.
setting is just like I love a setting like this. I love a historical setting, right? That is real history and has a historical base and we can just build on that, right? Like I would love a movie set in I don't know, the Tower of London or something like that or fucking Buckingham Palace or whatever the hell. Create some sort of haunted house down, out there. It just like adds much more lore than they ever have to explain because it's already kind of like a known
Yeah,
location.
like and that's again goes back to like me saying like there's a lot of stuff that if you like read about it, it's like, oh, that makes it cooler, but it was cool without knowing that shit,
Yeah.
right? Like you and I don't know dick about Nicholas Flamel other than he's in a Harry Potter book. Like, but like we could still be like, this is cool. Like.
I don't remember if this is the movie that like I learned that Nicholas Flamel was a real person. I want to say I knew that before 2014, but I'm not going to give myself that much credit because it's very possible.
I mean, I can only credit working at Barnes and Noble.
There you go. There you
um,
go.
but yeah, no, I think it does feel different than other found footage. Like it does, right?
It's again, it just they really took care of it, right? They had a story and they really um
I just can't imagine giving this a bad review. But I guess I feel like horror movies always like run on like a negative numbers
I
because like
just think
reviewers don't
the
like
bad
them.
reviews came from the time that it was at.
Yeah.
I would love to like revisit this movie with those critics who are giving it bad reviews and see what they're thinking of it now, you know,
Mm.
and if they've maybe changed on it because we don't have a whole lot of found footage anymore, do we? When's the last found footage, like mainstream found footage that came out?
God, would it have been the Paranormal Activity we watched together? Would that have been the last one?
The Ken one, maybe.
There's got to be more
I'm sure.
since,
Oh,
right?
Deadstream was kind of yeah.
Oh
We
yeah,
did,
yeah, yeah. That
but
was.
like big, like in the theaters, all of that. I don't think that we've had one in a good bit. So
Yeah, like, and this should have been a big one, right? Like it's very fucking
I
good.
would say it was a big one. It was big enough, and I think again, I think it has definitely grown a life outside. So like when people do bring up found footage, if you go and search a found footage list, best found footage movies, this one is always on that list.
Well, it's just like, I mean, even with Grave Encounters, I didn't realize it was like I just found that on Netflix randomly whenever the
I
fuck it
think
went
it's
up.
time for you to make a list on Ranker and
And
include this.
and like, but when we like a lot of people, right? Like when we covered it, a lot of people like, oh yeah, I love that movie, blah 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 blah. And like
Now I'm
even
like, we should have done like a live watch along of this one with people. Like this would have been a fun one to do.
I really think we need to do a live stream with found footage. I do think that works because you and I
Yeah.
both get like, even if we don't like it, we're still like, ah.
Well, because it's
Um,
yeah, you want reaction, right? And like Malum, we watched that like yesterday, day before. I don't know. We watched that the
yeah.
other night. I was like really wired at like I don't know. It was I don't even think it was that late for me. It was like midnight, but it was like 2 a.m. for Ian. And I just texted him. I'm like, hey, you want to watch a movie? And so we watched Malum, which is the remake of Last Shift. And it wasn't necessarily a good movie, but it was full of scares, which was the perfect like sort of just mindless movie to watch. And we had a lot
and
of
like,
reactions
yeah,
for that one.
even though we didn't love it, I can't like, you know what I mean? Neither of us could be like, oh, those scares were stupid. Like, no, they
Yeah,
worked on us.
they worked. The scares were very nicely curated.
Yeah. And like, I feel like that gets a bigger reaction out of both of us. But also we still need to do Cocaine Bear and Scream.
Oh gosh. Oh, Scream is out too.
I have a thing,
I've
remember?
been waiting to watch it until the home release comes out because I want to buy the 4K.
Oh, you haven't watched it on
Mm-mm.
Paramount Plus?
I saw it 6 times in the theater. I'm okay for a little bit.
You don't want to you don't want to support Scream?
Do
Mm.
you or did you pirate it? I don't remember. Tell me.
I've streamed it. I threw away that pirated thing I downloaded because now I have it on Paramount Plus, and I
Now you
watched
do. Now you do.
and I have watched I could reenact the entire Gale scene for
I'm
you.
really sits high up on my rankings just for horror in general, not just even found footage. I think it's like one of my favorite horror movies. Top five. So, I don't know if you had to give it a ranking or something. If you had to rank it for Ranker, where would you put it?
We don't rank items. Everyone else, the audience ranks the
For
things we put
audience
on a
ranks
list
item. Okay.
because they vote
Great.
them.
Okay. Well, they would vote it number one.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely put this high up, but I mean, it's not. Um, we got six Scream movies, so it can't be top five.
Oh my gosh. What a queer. What a gay. What a faggot.
Um, oh, I love when you sweet talk me.
Ooh.
Um, but no, I mean, I think it's great. I think I mean, Zach is not a fan of found footage, but he loves this movie. Like that's
Yes.
saying a lot, right? Like,
I would watch this one again too. Like if you said I want to watch it tonight, I'd be like, yes, sure. So
I
that
was just
says
thinking we should have watched it again before we recorded, so we would have had more to say.
probably. So we've come to the end of this recording here. I want to hear all of your thoughts about As Above, So Below. We are also partnered with HorrorPress.com, who should do something on As Above, So Below. And throw that one out there to John Michael. Throw it to him.
Have me write
From
about it.
us here at My Bloody Judy.
Yeah.
Exactly, you could write about it. There you go. If Zach and Ian were like stuck in the parish catacombs, how would that play out? That's what you write about. I've done come up with it. But
I already told you can eat me if I die.
what do you have over on the horrorpress.com for folks to go and check out that is already there?
I have a long review of Scream 6 that has literally all of my thoughts, and I had a lot. A Ghostface
I'm surprised
ranking.
you haven't done a home release Scream 6 review now.
Let's do it. The 25th anniversary, Buffy at 25. I'm writing a kind of column. Talked about the season 2 episode, I Only Have Eyes for You, and wrote a piece on the iconic season finale, Becoming, which Zach and I love, and why it still slaps 25 years later, because it fucking does.
We love a slap. We love the slap. That's what the kids say, right? That slaps. When did they start saying that? When did that start coming out?
Zach, that's like your age group that says
Is
it.
that, did we say slaps? I don't remember nobody ever saying slaps. That slaps. Okay. Well,
Ain't nobody ever said that.
thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.